Hello, my name's Marion Rose, and today I'd like to talk to you about baby sleeping and aware parenting. And aware parenting is really the third way in terms of babies and sleep. And it's often a not as well known way as the other two main ways. So I'm sure if you've heard of the main two ways that we often think about babies and sleeping. There's one way where we tend to think that we need to help babies from quite a young age to learn to sleep alone, to self-soothe, to be independent, to be able to go back to sleep on their own, to be able to go to sleep on their own in the first place. And in the other camp is the idea that babies and toddlers and small children need to wake many times or frequently through the night, even in toddlerhood and young childhood, and that's just something we kind of need to put up with. And what I love about aware parenting is that often those two ways don't necessarily meet everyone's needs. So in aware parenting, we're really looking at finding ways to meet the needs of babies and children and the needs of parents. So because as you can imagine, from that one way where we're looking at helping babies to learn to sleep alone from a young age, from what we've learned from developmental psychology and research over the last 30, 40 years, we've really learned about the importance of secure attachment for babies, which includes closeness, which includes listening to their needs, listening to their feelings. And so that approach really doesn't take into account babies' needs and feelings as much as we would really like. On the other hand, the approach where we need to kind of put up with night waking frequently throughout a baby and a toddler and a child's younger years, that can really not meet needs for parents, because we need sleep, and having interrupted sleep, I've spoken to many parents who've really been struggling and really felt so desperate for sleep. But what I'd love to offer is this opportunity that there is a way for babies and parents to get their needs met. This is the third way. There's a way for babies to get their attachment needs met and their needs to be heard and to be understood, and also for parents to get their need for sleep and uninterrupted sleep met. Obviously not in the first few months, because babies do generally need to wake and feed quite frequently, but we're talking really after about the 6-month period, and of course every baby's different. But really from an aware parenting approach, from about 6 months onwards, we really can have much more sleep as parents than is often assumed. Why is it the third approach, and what's different about it? What I really want to offer is I have such a deep compassion and acceptance for whatever style of parenting resonates with you. For me, the most important thing in parenting is we really listen to ourselves, and we really listen to what resonates with us, what belief systems, what paradigms really resonate with you. What when you read a book or you look at a YouTube video like this one, or you listen to a podcast, it's listening for those kind of times when you get that kind of oh yes, the internal yes, when you see something or read something or are talking to a friend and they talk about something, that's the thing to watch for. And that would, for me, that's the most important thing as a parent to do first. And the second thing is then to try that out with your baby, and then to actually observe your baby and let them tell you their response and how that is for them. So I really want to invite you to do this as you're listening to this video. Does this resonate with you or not? And if it resonates, then I invite you to listen more and to follow the resources that I'm offering. So Aware Parenting was developed by Aletha Salter, Ph.D., who's a developmental psychologist, and she wrote many books, including The Aware Baby. Here's The Aware Baby. And in The Aware Baby, she really talks about how to help babies sleep, many other things, but it's really through understanding really deeply about babies' feelings and needs, because babies have a lot of feelings right from birth, and I know that can be sometimes hard to understand or hard to even believe, because often we've thought in historical terms babies don't really feel very much, but babies, we now know babies feel right from birth, and actually even before birth they're feeling sentient beings, and they're really affected by so many things. They're affected by the the pregnancy, their time in utero, they're affected by their birth experiences, they're affected by what kind of touch and connection they have in those early hours, days and weeks after birth. They're affected by developmental leaps that they make. They're affected by our moods. They're affected by stress in the family or arguments. They're affected by things like moving house or going on holiday or having a busy day out. And I'm sure you've noticed that in your baby. The beautiful thing is, as well as them being very much affected by all of these things and having all the feelings that we recognize, such as sadness, confusion, overwhelm, joy, wonder, curiosity, delight, everything that is a real, just a pure feeling that isn't created by thoughts, it's just a pure feeling. They experience all of those things. And the beautiful thing that goes along with this is not only do they have all those feelings, but they have this amazing inbuilt mechanism to release feelings from their bodies. So if they've had a traumatic birth, babies who have a traumatic birth, they cry more. That's well known. They find sleep harder, they wake up more often. But if we take into account this natural healing mechanism, which is crying with support, so for babies that means being held, being lovingly held and listened to whilst they express those feelings. So the beauty of this mechanism is it's designed to help babies release those feelings. So at the end of a busy day, and I'm sure you've experienced this, you go out and they see lots of people, and your baby at the end of the day is kind of seems more agitated, or you're feeding them lots and lots of times, or it takes them a long time to go to sleep. All these things from this approach are really, she's just trying to release those feelings of the day. In a way, she's wanting to say in her own language, Mum, Dad, that was a big day for me. I really want to tell you all about it. And I'm not able to speak yet, but I can cry. I can let these feelings out. Will you hold me in your arms? Will you look in my eyes? Will you tell me that you're listening to me? And will you just be with me? And Mum, Dad, I'd really prefer if you don't jiggle me, or rock me, or try to feed me, or distract me, or leave me on my own when I'm crying, because I really need you right here with me, listening to me, to make it safe for me to express these feelings, because it's not just about expressing them or releasing them. I really need you to hear them. It's really important to me that you hear them. It's just like us, isn't it? I'm sure you've had those experiences. You've had a hard day and you just want to talk to a friend or your partner, and you just want them to hear you. You just want to tell them the story of how it was for you. Babies are so similar to us. They just really need to be heard. And yes, of course, they have their needs need to be heard too. Their needs for closeness, their needs to be held, their needs for food, their needs for warmth, all the things, the comfort needs, the important needs. But they also cry to release the feelings, to express the feelings, to let those feelings out of their bodies. So what this means in this third approach is that this really profoundly affects a baby's sleep, because if we don't really understand this approach, if we don't really realize that babies cry to release feelings and they need these feelings to be heard, we'll assume that all the crying, all the agitation always indicates an unmet need. So we'll do everything we can with the most loving intentions to meet that need. We'll feed them more, or we'll think they need to play more, we'll distract them, or we'll think they need to move and we'll jiggle them or rock them. But what you may find is, after we do those things to them, they may not look so connected. They may avoid eye contact. They may look a little bit glazed. Because what's happening is they're not actually, those feelings aren't going away. Those feelings stay in their bodies. And what happens is they're just kind of pushing those feelings down. And what happens over time is, each time we do that, is those feelings accumulate a little bit more and a little bit more. It's like pouring water into a jug. The feelings pile up, pile up, pile up, pile up. And we'll start to see a number of things, like the avoiding eye contact. Because it's just like us. Have you ever had a time where you're not longing to cry, you're needing to cry, but you're just trying to stop yourself? And a friend or partner puts their hand on your shoulder and they say, hi, how are you doing? What's going on? It's almost impossible to stop ourselves from crying when we feel the love and compassion of someone we really care about. Babies are just the same. It's really hard for them to stop those feelings bubbling out. That when that jug's full up, it's hard for them to stop overflowing and pouring out when we're really connected with them and looking at them. So they'll avoid eye contact. They'll be looking everywhere. The other symptoms and signs we can see is they start to get agitated in their body. So you may remember, especially if the birth was smooth and you had a fairly smooth pregnancy, that maybe when they were newborns, they would sleep. If they could, they would sleep like that. They were so relaxed. Over time, you might see that they start getting more tension in their bodies, or they might start being restless in their sleep, or they just, when they're awake, they might just be kind of feeling that quality of kind of tension in the muscles. And you'll see that if you're holding them, there'll be there's this tension in the muscles. And again, feelings are in the body, and I'm sure you felt that. Have you ever felt a time where you're just trying to hold it all in, and maybe your jaw's clenching up and your shoulders are tensing up? You're trying to stop the feelings being expressed, and we need to do that physically. So babies will need to physically do things to stop the feelings coming out. Other things we might see is they might seem, even though their tummies are getting bigger as they get older, they might seem to ask to be fed a lot more frequently, or they might start waking up much more frequently at night, or they might start taking much longer to go to sleep. And again, it's just like us. Have you ever had a time where you've been thinking about something, maybe a job interview or the dentist or an exam, or a friend said something to you, and maybe you wake up in the night and it's really hard to go back to sleep. You're tired and you desperately want to go back to sleep. You just can't. You just can't sleep because there's all these feelings in your body rushing around, all these thoughts in your mind rushing around. It's just really hard to feel relaxed enough to go to sleep. So babies are just the same, and these feelings are kind of accumulating. It's harder for them to bypass them, because that's what we often do for babies to get them to sleep. We'll try and bypass feelings. We'll feed them, we'll jiggle them, we'll rock them, we'll push them in a stroller or pushchair, we'll drive them in the car, we'll try and distract them from their feelings. But what happens again is it's just distraction, and the feelings will bubble up again. And another reframe from aware parenting is that when babies start getting agitated, when they're upset, it's not because, when they're tired rather, it's not because feeling tired is inherently uncomfortable. It's because when we're tired, we can more easily let out feelings. And again, I'm sure you found that, if you're really tired or you're sick, you might burst into tears much more easily. It's hard, our repression mechanisms don't work so easily when we're tired. And I think that's designed to be like that. So we let out the feelings before we go to sleep, and then we can have a beautiful, relaxed, peaceful sleep. So there are really three things that babies need in order to sleep. One is to be tired. So of course we want to watch out for tired signals. The second is that they need to feel connected. So they need to have a sense of connection with us. And the third is they need to feel relaxed. And that's the key point in terms of feelings, because if those feelings are sitting around there and we're trying to distract them for those feelings, they may appear to be relaxed, but it's not a true relaxation. It's not a true 100% in the body relaxation. And that's the piece where connected crying in arms with love and empathy and compassion, and I'm here with you, sweetheart, and I hear you, and I'm right here, and I'm listening, and I hear how hard this has been for you. It's that listening, it's that releasing of those feelings which allows them to feel deeply relaxed. So there are no hard and fast rules with how to do this, how to apply these processes, but it's really just understanding why sometimes babies find it hard to get to sleep. It's just because of this missing piece often. So if you want to find out more about it, I really recommend reading The Aware Baby. You can go to Letha's website at awareparenting.com, or my website. I have a few articles on babies and sleep at marianrose.net. And it's really, once you understand these principles and processes, and then it's finding a way of that fitting into your family, because we all do it differently. There's a way to help this process and this understanding fit for your family. So there are no shoulds or have-tos. It'll be really, how can you incorporate this into your family? How can you listen to your baby's feelings maybe more in the daytime? How can you listen more before they go to sleep so that they find it much easier to go to sleep, and so that they're not going to be woken up every time they come into that lighter sleep and those feelings are still bubbling. They're not going to be waking up to let those feelings out, because those feelings have already been heard in the daytime. So it's a really beautiful, empathic, compassionate approach. It's really about listening to babies' needs, really differentiating between when there's an immediate need and when the need is really just to express the feelings. And it's really what I've learned from my 13 years so far of experiencing this, and through working with many, many parents, is it's much more than an approach, because it changes our whole perspective. It asks of us to revisit our relationship to our feelings. It asks us to get the support that we need in order to be able to be deeply present with our babies, to listen to their feelings, to understand what's going on for them. So it's a profound path of transformation, and one that I'm eternally grateful for. So again, I really want to invite you, if this resonates with you, love for you to come and find out more. And if you want to watch more videos about aware parenting and similar ways of looking at parenting, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel. So thanks so much for watching. I was going to say walking, but thank you for watching, and I look forward to talking to you again.